Hello, everyone. We're really excited today. We've got a remarkable guest on today. Victor Santos is the co-founder and CEO of Airfox. He's creating a global platform for financial inclusion and making great progress. You want to stick around and learn more about what he's doing.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
This episode is made possible via the support of our sponsors, including Johnson & Johnson's Caring Crowd. Victor, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about Airfox.
Airfox's vision is to accelerate financial inclusion in emerging markets. Our primary focus today is in Brazil, where we're currently operating. The way our app works is it's essentially a mobile bank for the underbanked and the unbanked. People download it and they can use their smartphone as an alternative way, to the banks. Today, there are a couple problems. Banks don't know how to assess the risk of low-income users, and at the same time, the cost structure of the banks are too expensive to serve these users that are oftentimes, rural areas or in poor areas. So we developed a mobile-only solution that you can essentially do everything from your phone, pay your bills, send money to friends, but at the same time, use alternative data on the smartphone to provide credit to these users instead of, the traditional data points that a bank would use.
So how many customers do you have now?
Today we have about 55,000 customers that are active in the platform. However, end of last year, we signed a deal with the largest retailer in Brazil. So they're like the Walmart of Brazil. They serve 60 million customers. And we're in the process of integrating with all their stores to use their stores as a branchless network. So that's a pretty big partnership for us, and it's going to be exponentially growing in the upcoming year as we finalize the integration with their stores.
That does sound exciting. So as you look at this, how are you changing the experience that especially low-income users have with financial institutions?
Yeah, that's a great point. So, for example, there are different infrastructural problems that you can see across most emerging markets. Obviously, there are idiosyncrasies for each one. So I'll take Brazil as an example. Half the population is still unbanked and operate in a cash economy. You have the average interest rate being 400% APRs. Which is ridiculous when you think about it. But, in the U.S. is not too far. If you go to those payday loans in a poor neighborhood, you're looking about the same. You have banks that are not open on the weekends, and they're open between 10 to 4 in Brazil. And they're not in the areas where the customers are because they don't open banks in those areas because it's poor areas. And, there's theft and all these things. So having a mobile-only solution allows us to be extremely scalable because even though half the population is unbanked, over 2/3 of the population has a smartphone at this point. So this was not possible before because smartphone penetration, bandwidth penetration just wasn't there. So with new technology, we can allow users to do everything that they do 24/7 digitally through their smartphone. And then use the data from the smartphone, the same data that Facebook uses, but not just the data, the technology, machine learning, to use thousands of data points from your smartphone and your financial transaction in order to underwrite you a loan that's more cost effective. It doesn't require people, doesn't require the costs that a bank may have.
When someone makes a deposit with Airfox, what protects the value of that deposit?
Currently, we don't have like an insurance, what it's called. But today we do have 250,000 places that they can deposit money into the wallet. They can go to any bank, even though they don't have a bank account. They can go to lottery houses, which are kind of like 7-Elevens, these new 1,000 stores that we're adding for our retailers. And we'll continue to add more and more agnostic retailers in order to take cash in, which is really the hardest part. But we don't have like an insurance on that money. I mean, it's a trust between us and the company. And it is the most difficult thing is getting people to trust us as an institution that won't just take their money and run.
What does your balance sheet look like? You've got all those deposits. What are you doing with that money to keep it safe?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do, which actually we're rolling out now, is we invest in treasuries in Brazil. So in Brazil, we're a financial institution. So we invest in the treasuries, which we haven't rolled this out yet, and we're going to give 100% of that back to the customer on a weekly basis. So that'll be like a CD, the equivalent of a CD here, and we're not making any money on that. But it's pretty groundbreaking because it's more that they would get in a savings account, even if they were able to get a savings account, which most of these people don't. In terms of keeping it safe, we keep it. We have banking in terms of like banking grade security from a software perspective that's audited, and of course that's always a risk, and we're still learning and trying to develop that as we go.
Are you using blockchain technology as part of this?
So part of the blockchain technology occurs in some of the transactions, but what the vision for the blockchain aspect is to create a peer-to-peer lending platform. So over time, the blockchain only works if there's enough users. Instead of taking a protocol to app approach, we're taking an app to protocol approach. So let's grow the app user base. Before I open up to third-party lenders, if for anywhere in the world, I need to prove that my underwriting machine learning model actually works. And I need to have a big user base in order to create these securitized instruments to put it on the blockchain. So the way we're taking it is like, okay, Airfox today is the only lender in the platform. We're lending from our own balance sheet. And as we lend, we learn. And then once we have positive return on equity, we'll create these different securities and put them in the blockchain world and open it up for anyone on the blockchain to be able to invest into these different instruments that we vouched for. So that's the idea. It's a global peer-to-peer platform, and that allows us to offset off our balance sheet the lending and not have to be the one that's sourcing all the capital.
Excellent. As you look back at what you've accomplished, you've been at this now a little over 3 years, I think, since you first started. What are you most proud of having accomplished?
I think the most, the biggest accomplishment I'd say would be the partnership with Via Varejo, which is the largest retailer in Brazil. They looked at 40 different companies. They hired a top consultancy firm, and we ended up winning out of all of the other ones. And I think that partnership is going to be revolutionary because it's going to merge the offline with the online. This retailer has about $1 billion in loan portfolios that they already do in terms of giving loans for people to buy refrigerators, smartphones, because in Brazil, everything is an installment because nobody can afford anything. So being able to really leverage their scale in order for us to like leapfrog 3 years, 4 years, having their presence in terms of locations, to use that as agencies for deposits and withdrawals, to use their loan portfolio for us to offer other types of loans instead of just consumer purchases, but micro loans for entrepreneurs, emergency loans, lost your job. So the sky's the limit with this partnership, and we're very excited about it. And I think it's going to bring the scale that we need to open up the market to other lenders.
Victor, as you look back on what you've accomplished, what do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned? What maybe led you to the biggest pivot?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson is, I think that be comfortable with the ambiguity that startup life throws at you, and just be comfortable with the change, and I think not getting so caught up on both the wins and the losses. So I think we can easily get caught up on the wins, and always be humble. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, excellent. Victor, why did you want to tackle this? I think you explained to me in some of the preparatory materials that you started Airfox for a personal reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but the first thing that's close to my heart is my parents were always entrepreneurs, small business owners. My mom had a travel agency in Brazil. My dad had a construction business. In Brazil, a lot of people are entrepreneurs, not because they want to be, but because they have to, because there's no opportunity. So you see a lot of that, and they're just hustlers, and doing so. I remember being 11 years old, and my mom pawning the jewelry in our house to get a loan, because to this day, pawning in 2019, pawning jewelry is the cheapest way you can get a loan for people like us at the time, that in a lower socioeconomic class. So like having those moments of experience as a child, and then coming to the US at the age of 12, and experiencing what it's like to be an immigrant here, not being able to get funding for college, not being able to get a loan for college. There were a lot of like financial things that I experienced that drove me to say, okay, well, there has to be a better way, because someone like me would obviously have to pay. I'm obviously going to pay my debt back, right? But there's all these people that are not given the opportunity to get capital, and capital is what makes the world go round. That is what makes people get out of their cycle of poverty. So being able to have capital to invest in your future and your education, if you lose your job, that's so important, and it's definitely key to my personal experiences. Seeing my parents struggle and not being able to have that is something that's close to my heart.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Victor, what is your superpower?
My superpower? That's a good question. I think I'm a really good team builder. I think I'm very proud of. I think the second thing I would have said, is the culture that we built at Airfox, and I think that I don't know if that was an innate power. I think that was after many years of bad choices and realizing what. So I think I have a good intuition for helping build teams and picking the right people for the right things, and understanding my limitations and how to orchestrate different people to accomplish an objective.
Fantastic. Well, Victor, I just really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I know you're busy, trying to run a global business, but before you go, would you take a minute and just tell people how they can learn more about Airfox and how they can connect with you personally?
Yeah, absolutely. We can learn more about Airfox at airfox.com. We have also our LinkedIn. We're hiring all over, both in Brazil and Sao Paulo. You can find that on our LinkedIn page, and you can connect with me via my email or my website's victorsantos.com. And my email is just victor@arefox.com.
Fantastic. Again, Victor, thank you very much for joining us. We wish you every success in expanding financial inclusion in Brazil and around the globe.
Thank you, Devin, for having me. Appreciate it.
All righty. Let's do some good.
At Caring Crowd, we believe everyone has the power to make a difference. Through our crowdfunding platform for community health, we empower passionate people to drive real change. Whether you work for a nonprofit organization, volunteer, or want to get involved for the first time, you can post a campaign on Caring Crowd. Join us, because caring is where change begins.
Thank you for listening. Devin Thorpe's mission is to end extreme poverty, improve global health, and and mitigate climate change before 2045 by finding and sharing the stories of those who are doing the most good. You can join with other listeners to accelerate Devin's mission by visiting helpdevin.org right now.